37. The future of Israel-Hamas war was foretold by National Public Radio futurologists. Years more Israeli crushing of Palestinian aspirations. Far ahead Hamas guerrilla war. Gaza hunger, thirst, and death. 70 past years hate, occupation, and war drives another 70. The region's only hope is international pressure for fewer weapons, more human and political rights, and life-saving sufficient relief aid. Their hope against hope not visible above weapons to the moon. Weapons plus hate plus tyranny for 10,000 years to today drove every region's feuds intractable for centuries because humanity, educational, lawful, peace reform powers were never built in successful, demilitarized opposition. My speech's attempt is nothing without your development, communication, organization, campaign, and mass realization. In April of 2024, 2/3 of Hamas remains undestroyed. Around 8,000 fighters survive underground. The IDF will never kill them all. Coming this spring is savage Rafah war amid 1 million homeless civilians not provided escape or shelter from the battles. Thousands more non-combatants will die than IDF or Hamas soldiers, just as both sides' commanders have deliberately arranged from the beginning. Hamas' violent revolt will increase years ahead during IDF military dictatorship, only slightly reducing in the very unlikely event that the Jewish army can kill even more than are constantly recruited from millions of enraged, hopeless young Palestinians. As long as Mideast military dictators, both oppressor and revolutionary, are massively armed by numerous foreign weaponeers and power nation proxy war fighters, permanent hate and battle will roar all 21st century, destroying fast any and all unlikely peace and mutual independence accords. This also describes, wholly or in part, most all of today's 49 wars and the next 49 too, though most likely cut short by nuclear doomsday or your lawful world rescue. The ever-embattled Israeli public will replace one failed war government after another, while their angry, aware, educated, humane, democratic minority will continue to march against executive crushing of former judicial and legislative democracy and propose the only solution: Palestinian independent statehood, itself doomed to endless war with Israel while both remain armed to the teeth. Absolute power, giant arsenals, added to oppression's contempt against revolting hatred, ever explode to the end. Whereas democratic respect and equality between demilitarized parties win and sustain peace. Arsenals and hateful tyranny birth dogs and devils of war, while love's disarmament, respect, freedom, and equality marry God and humanity for health and happiness of all. Until then, governments will withhold and ruin all until you make and enforce your own humanity law and self-public government. All governments fed by elite theft and World Weapons Incorporated conduct never-ending war against each other and their own tyrannized people. Enforced laws against bribing and genocide arming leaders are every earthling's only chance, as every word of my speeches prove. For 10,000 years, most every separate national effort to lift human rights failed against commercial militarism's world-organized evil power. Only your world movement could dismantle this juggernaut of oligarchs' theft of our freedom and peace to save us all and, of course, your family. I think that my observation that the same group of inhumanities, armed attack, bigotry, hate, tyranny crushing equality and rights, and theft of both possessions and freedom of others are committed against citizens by undemocratic governments, and to prosecute all civil and international wars, and describe most interpersonal crime too. This extends to the horrible reality that only piecemeal reforms invariably invite the other free-to-rage crimes to only keep growing until enveloping and destroying again the temporary arenas of partial reform won. My nation enhances portions of democracy and healthcare reform for a decade or two. Then our bribery and weaponeering explode world war and national bigotry to attack and reverse democracy and the nation's mental and physical health. It turns out that humanity, let's define as devotion to others' safety, freedom, rights, and health, precious as your own, the golden rule, grows to all or retreats to nothing. Inhumanity, hurting others feels good, so do it. Once weak or absent law and education invites a single piece of that foul pie for dessert, mostly profit-motivated inhumanity grows like cancer to evil hell on earth. So I believe that a disarmament and rescue law world treaty is critical to walk us back from doomsday to humanity. Tyranny works by making one war-compliant man dictator, also elevating a rich, public corrupting 1% to crush the 99% ignorant sheep. Peace governments would elevate love laws above greedy, powerful, corrupt, violent men. Even they would lose 100, not just 99% of their venality, without its explosion by illegal, corrupt, all-power opportunity. Eggheads, knowing that strong enough world law could save us, give up their idea every time by assuming that power-mad sovereigns will never give up their arsenals and total power competition to a world government only successful by overpowering national despots. But you'll notice that our new world of internet into every school and living room gives billions who never conceived of public activism their grassroots chance to mount massive challenge to all powers that be. My every speech describes our opportunity, agenda, and life over death duty. A group of treaty nations could reduce emissions, increase democracy, lower armed threat and aggression, and increase aid and ideas to help the world. but their own grateful citizens could see every gain imminently reversed by giant arms-racing attackers, leaving their wise restraint still in no position to escape nuclear war, and their lives soon cut short by other massive emitters and world-warming drought about to kill billions from hunger and thirst. The power nation's inhumanity cancer will sicken and kill the 100 most benevolent, healthy nations too. Family love then must become world law, of, by, and for the people, achieved simultaneously with our relentless assault through the courts and ballot boxes to ever control, reduce, and eliminate absolute power of harm while building, law by law, ever increasing power to grow freedom, stop tyranny, destroy weapons, and find and deliver new fresh water. Repeatedly, I return to our critical interventions to break imminent Ukraine chain reaction from excess American attack tanks, artillery, and F-16s to Russian defeat, to nuclear counterattack, to NATO invasion, to world nuclear war, nuclear winter, and the end of not just human but all life on Earth. We must appeal not just to Congress and executive preparing to appropriate, sign, and send such aid of nothing but doomsday, but hurry to sue in federal courts and international courts, part of our world appeal to save our world so totally threatened. Tell all that nuclear commanders, since their fast, far-flying arsenal's inception, have deliberately, unlawfully removed the majority of national and Earth citizens' constitutional right to choose peace or war, attack or defense, life or death via specific war launching, pun intended, via our representatives vote up or down war upon specific nations. Our right and decision in advance, not the dictatorial executive's option without congressional declaration of war. All understand executive power throughout the nuclear age to remove the people's war or not choice with technological emergency reasoning. To save humanity, we must destroy humanity in minutes. No time for 8 billion yay or nay votes. Your job is only to assume the nuclear alert position, bend way down between your knees, and kiss your ass goodbye. I stole another quote, too. I couldn't make this stuff up, folks. A Vietnam bomber pilot told a reporter, "We had to destroy the village in order to save it." Obviously, our only input after American Ukraine offensive military aid appropriation is to press every authority throughout our government to withhold the tanks and jets that will kill their own children. A pretty strong argument, wouldn't you say? Our next argument is, this single situation proves why humanity may not live months longer amid skyrocketing conventional and nuclear arms races. If we are lucky and live, get ready for the unceasing, ever-increasing movement for world treaty law to slash all weaponry to safe, no longer extinction level. And nobody beg, everybody sue. Courts must rule that founders prohibited even centuries-distant creation of world-ending technology that can launch 8,000 missiles in a half hour. World terminal war never chosen or inflicted by popular or legislated votes, besides corrupted, coercive, trillion-dollar military appropriations amid decades of genocide industry takeover of superpower governments. Nuclear threat and war are inflicted by domestically kind American presidents claiming democracy. Not just the Russian tyrant who murders his political opponents. Both exercise 100% executive military dictatorship. Offensive or defensive, launched in minutes, never the day's delay required for congressional constitutional choice. Our right, duty, and wisdom usurped, held in contempt enough to kill us all. We file suit today, Your Honor, for your order to American executive, civilian, and military commanders to end forever any option of American conventional invasion of Russia without a congressional declaration of war. Consider our government's arguments against this 100% Russian invasion refusal under all future circumstances. Russian nuclear attack on any portion of Europe, even outside of NATO, that America is defending with our weapons would reveal the foe who will kill us all unless we totally destroy him now. His world-threatening aggression can only be defeated by decapitating the Moscow government commander-in-chief. Furthermore, like all modern nuclear emergencies, our executive must attack in minutes, with no time to gain permission from the American Congress. Our reply: with Putin's loud 2023 hair-triggering of every Ukraine, Europe, and America destroying missile, he revealed his full, certain plans. Just as he will reverse his conventional defeat with nuclear murder of Ukraine, so he plans to abort our tank invasion and capture of Moscow by hiding underground while decapitating and finishing all European and American civilization. Of course, then our thousands of missiles flying to destroy all above-ground Russia. Putin has long readied every ICBM for no other purpose. Also clear on the nuclear winter finality of America's full nuclear response. This is world-ending certainty, already publicly nailed down by Ukraine, U.S., NATO, and Russian military response and plans. All chain reaction to world nuclear holocaust since this superpower proxy war's first day cemented in, without restraint, conventional defeat to nuclear escalation doom. Every non-government, independent, therefore uncorrupted, honest, accurate analyst in history stressed that any and all nuclear attacks, small or large, always escalate to 100% of arsenal's nuclear doomsday. Only nuclear government-paid and corrupted strategists lie that our side, acting nuclear crazy, makes the outbombed loser smartly quit and eat their losses, with every limited nuclear war ending locally in our clever total victory. These craven political lackeys were ordered to draw up 50 different nuclear first strike attack plans, all achieving safe but devastating triumph of the good guys. Weaponeers also demanded this elaborate, flexible complexity to spring fancy schmancy arsenal trillions. You can't be surprised at this 10,000-year culmination of the ultimate scheme. Deadly lies for money, honey. Indeed, their burned, frozen corpses fisting the latest $50 billion war company annual revenue and profit report. Grant our suit, Your Honor, allowing the American people to 100% preclude or for all time undeclare conventional forcing nuclear attack on Russia. Our only way to keep 350 million Americans, not to mention 8 billion Earthlings, alive. Full Russian nuclear attack on America could leave 50 million of us briefly alive, then certain to die when American full response lifts ground-burst dirt enough for nuclear winter. Well before any universal nuclear disarmament success, now remove, Your Honor, the American people's and your permission for any nuclear or conventional attack that our representatives do not declare. Presidential nuclear impunity is always 100% illegal and always 100% fatal to 8 billion. Please ask our government defendant for his reply. Counsel for the government? Your Honor, our civilian and military commanders have the urgent need and physical power to make every nuclear launch decision as instantly as circumstances will dictate. Amateur citizens are incompetent to make or plan emergency military decisions or policy. We will answer for our fast war decisions and hear citizens' objections after the fact in any courtroom still standing after the nuclear war. Judge, I find for the people and grant their demand insofar as I can. I order the government never to launch nuclear or conventional war into Russia, which the plaintiff has proven will end the world. And I will find the government in contempt for continuing to keep all of their insane world-ending options open. Continued illegal policymakers will risk 90 days in jail. But all note that any government with gigantic conventional and nuclear arsenals will use them all soon, despite all my orders to the contrary. The people win this suit. Yet they and I are helpless to stop armed-to-the-teeth aggressors and save any, indeed 8 billion lives with my empty orders against your full arsenals. Even the people's suit to enforce NNPT world negotiation for disarmament, while also granted by myself and increasing dozens of courts across the world, succeeds and saves the world only when the world's four powers, with most of those 9,000 million killers, destroy most, pending all of them. Every judge granting NNPT negotiation for full and final enforcement must remain committed to their own supervisory takeover until every bomb is gone and giant attack armies are eliminated, leaving small, safe border guard patrols. No commander will ever obey lawful orders not to explode weapons that we stupidly and illegally leave him. This valuable lawsuit forces me to judge life over death. Bombs and bullets trump words and laws until words and laws force banishment of bombs and bullets. When does that happen? When love, humanity, and justice end hate, force, and evil with law and education. Love conquers all. History's most ambitious prediction. Particularly since all's about to conquer love, not to mention end life. Now, the right love laws, enforced by a couple of billion public-loving self-government grabbers, will conquer doom and seize the entire purpose of love. Lots more of it for happy health and our fully just and benevolent society granting every cared-for equals boundless future. Exactly what the big guy made us for. Now, about those nuclear bombs about to ban and destroy us, hadn't we better ban and destroy them first? Fast? Well, duh! Court adjourned. Bang! How can you stand me? For 20 hours, my every word, except when I cheer up to describe how good law should turn around disaster, predicts our chain reaction total doom from millennia's near total tragic savagery. Am I totally negative, totally nasty, totally insane? Or, in fact, necessarily revealing every technological species formula without interruption for total societal genocidal destruction? My true stories put together do suggest a powerful, scary formula shot through with a pencil-thin ray of hope. The sun's burning power, 93 million miles away, always warmed our earth, not too hot, not too cold, just right, like Goldilocks' porridge. Sunshine nurtured 2 billion years of life until our stupid CO2 spewing, coal and oil burning trapped so much more heat in the stratosphere that ever increasing amounts of regular rainfall and earth moisture got burned up. Forest, crop, river, lake, and of course human water supply all heading for terminal drought. Tell you more about that tomorrow, because today's horror story is the infinitely worst thing we did with the sun's nuclear firepower. Our star roars with nuclear fusion, unearthly power that for 70 years immoral, irrational, mighty close to evil human leaders have packed inside of thousands of thermonuclear hydrogen bombs, by the dozen atop each of thousands of 17,000-mile-an-hour missiles intended to incinerate 30 million people apiece, 0 to 15 miles away. No longer 93 million cooling, temperate miles away, friendly sunshine. But 1,000 times more deadly than nuclear bomb buyers and launchers are you and I, who have sat back and paid no attention to crazies we elected, voting constant, fully illegal by treaty upkeep of star power hellfire machines, made no longer to warm our living planet for billions of years, but to blast us to hell with million-ton TNT power explosions completed in 1/1,000,000th of a second. E equals mc squared, figured Albert Einstein. M for any mass of matter. Multiply its simple potential force of gravity, pulled weight, times the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. Then multiply your staggering sum again by another 186,000 miles per second. But wait, a baseball to the cheekbone at 99 miles an hour is serious damage we expect. 99 miles per second, would not be appropriate television for children, to put it mildly. To get an idea of the total energy latent in matter, if clever technicians were able to loose all monstrous force holding protons and neutrons together and pulling, whirling dervish electrons into tiny hyperspeed orbits, you'd need to multiply MC squared 15,796,000,000 miles per second by another 3,600 to get 10,477,000,000,000 miles per hour. After just dropping a dumbbell from waist high on your bare foot, adding maybe 5 miles an hour speed to the blow, you'd need an X-ray and maybe a cast. The real world, devastating conversion of matter to trillions of times more forceful pure energy in the fateful 1940s was achieved by exploding bombs of radioactive metal that, before enrichment, eroded only small numbers of its atoms over many years. Inside this uranium was less than 1%. That was a very different, very explosive trace version or isotope that actually shot out neutron bullets that might strike any nearby other uranium. But the 99% inert surrounding or non-explosive normal atoms did not split and shoot out more neutron bullets. Scientists everywhere quickly realized that they could cull out 5 pounds of the double neutron high-speed firing isotope. This quantity of super radioactive uranium would sit quietly enough, but then neutron bullets would shred your organs cancerous if you stayed nearby for a long time. The same scientists, however, calculated that if they put non-explosive radioactive uranium 5-pounders 6 feet apart for 10 pounds in a steel tube and suddenly blew one across against the other, they'd better be 2 miles away because that critical or exploding 10 pounds will shred itself to pure, outblasting 100 million degree, 800 miles an hour energy, 1 trillion times weightier than the mere matter's 10 pounds. Real fast. How fast? Nuclear explosions start to finish of every atom in that 10 pounds in a trillionth of a second. Does that help explain how Hiroshima victims near ground zero vanished to charcoal silhouettes on sidewalks and walls? Also recall my description of survivors' suffering. But even as the smoke cleared from double Japan genocide, nuclear geniuses Robert Oppenheimer and Edward Teller were already bored and dissatisfied with piddling little 15,000 TNT ton equivalent, mere 100,000 murder atomic bombs. So they made those pedestrian little uranium booms triggers inside shells of tritium, even more viciously radioactive hydrogen, poised when atomic blasted with enough heat and force to destroy itself with thousands of times greater than atom bomb force. Now, millions of times more violent than the American TNT blockbusters that each one turned 300 resident 8-story Gaza apartment buildings to rubble, dust, and blood, so far murdering 40,000 innocents. The devil himself lurks below, jealous, inferior, and humiliated. Every hydrogen tritium atom scorched by the fission bomb in the middle burns at 180 million degrees, vastly faster and thus more powerful than the billion-year-long nuclear fusion burning of the stars. Any good Christian would know this ultimate explosive destruction among tender life on earth to be the devil's fiendish, sadistic joy, never God's plan nor work. Read Nuclear War, a Scenario by Annie Jacobsen for the opening description of a 1 megaton hydrogen bomb in Washington, D.C. Most astronomers believe that millions of science run amok, yet ethically, legally primitive species across the universe built thousands of these bestial monsters apiece and blew life off of their planets in a single short afternoon. Absolute power corruption to living planets, absolute doom, say our dead silent radio telescopes. Yet 1950s Americans described flying saucers to 1,000 newspaper reporters. Numerous credible military professionals were unable to operate missile launch controls. Every minute, similar saucers hovered deliberately above. Of 457 witnesses to a saucer crash outside Roswell, New Mexico, a number saw soldiers carrying away 4 unearthly corpses, never to be seen by or revealed to the public again. Today, a worried Pentagon has released videos of craft turning several 60-degree to 180-degree corners in a single second at thousands of miles per hour. No proof this of extraterrestrial intelligent flight, says their PR release. Then explain which Earth nation and aeronautical company produces even 1% of that flight technology, please. What you don't need to explain is why your 78 years of lying to us continues. So a very few, very brilliant, very beautiful civilizations survived. Just way too few for a single one today to chatter, sing, or otherwise smart signal into our radio dish ears. In speech 38, I'll talk about how they did save themselves, just like we could with your help. My favorite topic. Right after the sad, depressing story of 99.9% of techno-species succumbing to their booby-trapped telomere, their programmed murder-suicide. But first, let me ask you a question. Just how tough and severe the challenges, agendas, crises would motivate true heroes, real family lovers and guardians, who meet even distant danger and need before it roars too dominant to defeat. Maybe instead you're roused to action only when assured of victory from casual, intermittent, half-hearted efforts. Nope, your family-loving grit tells me you're going to get angry, determined, fueled up, and hopeful against even the scariest, lowest odds to start now and never quit demanding a world of help with what has been done far away to whip this very same highest menace back under control of us myriad families, climbing all the way to the promised land. So you ain't stopping us. You're gonna join us.